And boom, we are live. Welcome, 2.5 Oyajis. Myself, and over here, I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. On my camera, it looks like I've got to point that way. To Victor. How you doing, Victor?
Good, good. I've just been insulted.
Yeah. I was just doing that in the background. Just as part of the warm-up, I was just hurling non-stop insults.
No. I actually was looking for a guest for our show, and I found someone I thought was pretty cool, but he wants an appearance fee.
You know, I just heard that on my own YouTube startup, and
Uh-huh.
what I was saying to you, that I know that your mic is on full, even though it seemed really quiet to me, and I
Uh-huh.
was worried that mine would be like booming on top of
Right.
yours being
Mm-hmm.
low. And
Mm-hmm.
like Lara is just saying there in the comments, I just heard that myself. I think the only way to do this, if your mic is as high as it will go, I think I have to turn mine down so that we're at the same level because,
Okay.
yeah,
My audio is super low.
yeah, it is.
My
I just heard it just now.
my audio is
So
on
maybe,
maximum. I don't know what's going on. It's on maximum on this computer here.
yeah. Are
Hmm.
we the same now?
Oh, you know
Let
what? I
me
got ambient noise reduction on. Let me
let me
turn
do
that
a
off.
test.
How about now? Does this change anything? I just turned off my ambient.
I, I don't know. We can't really do this live. Can someone say, am I still drowning Victor out? Do I have to turn my levels down since he's on the maximum that he can get with his headset? Everybody, how are our levels? Victor's better. Are
Hello,
we? Are
hello.
we? Are we?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I'm going to turn mine down anyway. Let me just make sure I'm not turning it up. Let's. Yeah. Void theft. You can hear both. I think we're good enough. Um.
Mm.
Uh. That's good. I like to have some dominance. If we get into a shouting match, it's good to know I'm always going to
Okay.
win. So yeah. Okay. I've turned my gain all the way down. My mic is as low as it will go, and Victor's is as high as it will go. So hopefully this is somewhat similar. I'm just going to have a quick listen to myself here. You got to say something, Victor, to compare.
Okay, hello. Testing 1, 2, and 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello.
Good enough. Okay, very, very good. So yeah, other than the fact I was just like hurling insults like non-stop at you before, as we were warming up.
Mm-hmm.
So you were insulted. How were you insulted?
Well, I found a guy. Let me. Can I share my screen with you?
Please.
Okay. How do I do that? Let me see.
Down the bottom,
Share
present.
screen. Present. Yes, there we go. And share a screen. I hope this works.
And someone hire an airplane and fly a message saying that Victor has a small brain around
Okay, here we
Nagoya.
go. You got that? Can you see that? Right down. See that?
At the stage. Here we go. Dean from Japan, Japanese news in
Have
English.
you ever heard him? Heard of him?
I've not heard of him. Latinos asked to leave.
Hmm?
No, not the Latinos. Is that where he was asking you to leave Japan?
Where does it? Where are you reading that? Latinos.
On the
Oh,
shared page. I've seen Japan Culture News. I'm seeing his prominent video.
Okay. So
Latinos asked to leave.
these are his last videos. He's a new guy. Well, I don't actually know how new he is. Let's see. His oldest is 4 years old. He's been around for 4 years. His last
Baby.
name seems to be Ramirez. So he's a
He's insulting himself.
no. You're jumping the gun.
Sorry.
He's a half. He has a slight Japanese accent. His English is excellent, but apparently his Japanese is better. Like I think he's a native Japanese speaker, and his last name is Ramirez. I think he might be gay. No, because he mentions it. I think it's part.
Okay, he
No,
mentions it. Yeah.
it's not an insult. It's just, I think it's part of his persona.
No. I was just wondering if you just diagnosed that yourself.
No. He's mentioned it a few times.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned like talking about a few sexy girls, and then mentioned that of course they weren't. There was nothing.
They weren't his thing.
Yeah, but I like his videos. They're fun. They're about news. He edits well.
I mean, I'm ready to subscribe, but where does he insult you?
Well, because I asked him if he'd like to come on our show.
Yeah.
And he's like, sure, if you're serious, please contact my Patreon, and we can discuss my appearance fee.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So I've never
I
heard
mean,
of anyone.
he'll pay us. He'll pay us. Say that. We'll accept 30,000 yen if he wants to pay us something. Uh, we'll happily accept an appearance fee for him.
Pretty
Um,
funny. Pretty funny. But this is his latest video. It's about Trump, and he dug
how
up
many
some.
subscribers? I can't quite make out
He's
the
got
subscriber number.
9,009 subscribers or so.
All right, well, that's, I mean,
9.09. Not bad. He's
it's
growing.
respectable. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
he's
good.
he's
Yeah.
he's doing good things. He looks like he edits his videos, which
Yes,
is hard
but
work, more work than
his
I want to do.
but his views on his videos rarely pass 1,000. Looking back in a few months, he hasn't broken 1,000 in 4 months.
Yeah,
So but he's got I mean, that's just bad luck I think on the way that
yeah.
YouTube works. I think he's got quality stuff, and he deserves many more subscribers. He's good. I find him entertaining and informative, and he's got a good perspective on Japan, because he's more of a Japanese person, I think. But his English is excellent. He's got the slang down.
I admit I'm highly confused and strangely intrigued by the advertising pitch. Yeah, I want to go subscribe to this guy just to see what the hell he's all about. He is in my weird niche of Japan information, so let's go check him out.
No, he's definitely good, and I want to actually do a response to his Trump video, because he talks about Trump coming to being interviewed on Japanese television years and years ago, and his views about Japan, which are interesting. How he thinks that we can actually discuss this, because you probably have some views about this. So Trump thinks that Japan should not be. Japan is basically leeching off the USA. You know about this?
Yeah.
You've heard.
Yeah.
We defend Japan. We give them oil to supply. This is what Trump said. We give them oil to supply so they can power their factories, so they can make cars and sell back to us.
Yeah, so he wants to go back to Honda bashing.
Yeah, he thinks that Japan is completely screwing us over, and he doesn't blame Japan. He thinks it's the U.S. politicians screwed up, and Japan is completely cooking. What's the expression? Cooking our goat? No, I don't know what the expression is. They're kicking our ass, basically. And it's our own fault, because we're weak, we're terrible. And this was done. This interview was like from the 1988 or something, when he was still with Ivanka Trump, when she was alive.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, look back at history, and he found it somehow, and he did this video responding to it. So.
Okay.
But anyway, all his videos have some insight, and they talk about things that I don't know about. Like he'll talk about some bullying case, or the other one is about bullying over here. He talks about some girl that was on YouTube who made a parody video about a super famous Japanese star, and she was basically bullied off the site. She had to basically, and it was a comedian, right? So cancel culture in Japan, he's got an insight into that, which is in a way is worse than American cancel culture. I think it is worse, right?
Yeah.
You've seen some cases of Japanese.
I'm sorry. I'm slightly thrown. Void Theft is saying that my mic is making interference noises, which is distracting me, which I should not be distracted by. It sounds like the mic's good enough, so okay, I'm gonna stop looking at that.
I have not seen the comments. Let me look at the comments there.
Oh yeah, no, it's okay. I get distracted by technical issues. It's squirrels to chase. So sorry. So yeah, I mean, Trump's always sort of done on the American. Oh, geez, we lost Victor. Victor obviously clicked on the wrong thing. When I make sudden movements, me making movements should not have an impact on my microphone. So I don't know. I'm bothered by that. But again, please don't tell me stuff like that. Honestly, it's going to throw me. Although not as much as it threw Victor, obviously. Yeah. But anyway, so I guess I've got to. Is my audio fine? Maybe he should bring his mic closer to his face. Thank you, Ty. Yeah. Victor's. Oh, here he's back. Victor's begging to be let back in. Should I let him back in? I mean, this could possibly be, turning the show into a monologue. No, I'm pretty consistently told that the show is better. Yeah, I'm definitely dragging on the viewing ratings of this show, so we should definitely bring you back. Why did you leave?
Probably, I signed in because I signed in to kick me out. So we could probably take all my videos and put them into AI, and we could create a Victor that would be an AI version of me that you could probably interact with just as well. It'd probably be more intelligent than this.
I mean, honestly, I'm wondering why Google. I've seriously been wondering. I'm completely with you. I am so all over Twitter, and so between us, how many thousands of hours? If you wanted to, like, why doesn't Google just give us a button saying generate an AI version of you from all your
Yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah,
Even just from YouTube.
yeah.
We're always in the same room. We're always on the same setup. We basically talk the same way. We've got these sort of topics. You should be able to train. Google has all it needs. And I'm happy to say yes if it says, do you want an AI version of yourself, to talk to or to play around with? 1,000,000%. I'm going to say yes to that. Google should this should be an offer. This should be a feature of YouTube, right? That we should have AI Victor. It'd be kind
And
of cool,
yes,
yeah, let anybody talk to us in their free time and get the terrible advice, probably get the conversation disconnected 3 times due to technical issues. We talk to like a real AI that imitates us would do.
yeah. Um, I actually saw there was actually two AIs were taught to make a podcast, and they were talking
Go,
together. Did you see that?
Note
And they
LM.
realized,
You give it a document, and it
yeah,
turns any document into like a realistic podcast conversation. Yeah, like two people, like a man and a woman having a podcast
yeah.
conversation.
And during the podcast, they find out that they're fake. Hey, we are
Yeah,
AI. Oh, you mean that my wife is fake? This is going to be interesting to her. I've been trying to call her and I can't get through, and it's quite
I
interesting.
remember
I
that.
guess this is
Yeah.
I guess this is our last show. Right. Okay. Anyway, this guy, he's good. I hope he'd like to come on the show. I'll send him a link to this video. Dean. So Dean, if you ever see this video, we'd love to have you on the show. Unfortunately, we
Yeah.
can't pay you,
Well, we'll
but
accept payment, but yeah, from your Patreon if necessary. Uh,
Well, so he has a Patreon. I guess we could look at his Patreon. I didn't know he had a Patreon actually.
well, didn't he tell you to go to
Yeah,
his Patreon and
yeah,
pay
but
him to
I
get him
didn't
on as
know
a
he had a
guest?
Patreon.
We're
Buy
from a
me
simpler time
coffee.
when this was a social network and people used to interact and communicate and have fun. Nowadays everybody is a brand.
Everyone's trying to
Um,
get money, just like a broad in Japan called out Mr. Beast. Just wanting to
Mr.
make money.
Beast, the Mr. Beast of
Actually,
Japan calls out Mr. Beast of Mr. Beast. Yeah, that was an
so
interesting moment.
I actually do not know the details of his complaint, but apparently he's pissed off. I just saw the Twitter that says, "I'm sick and tired of YouTubers being." I don't remember the rest of it, but I wasn't
Sick and
involved in it.
tired of it. I tend to just switch off as soon as I see the word YouTubers as well mid sentence. I just stop reading.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, no. I think I saw. Honestly, I didn't linger on it that much either. I think I saw a video where he talked about how he respected Mr. Beast as kind of this, altruistic, popular,
Oh,
big YouTuber, good guy. But lately, it seems like he's doing these business deals, like these Lunchable things in America with Logan Paul, and he seems to kind of be selling out and hanging out with the kind of types of YouTubers he thinks makes everyone looks bad. And yeah, he kind of sees the Mr. Beast brand in decline. Um,
yeah.
which I did see a little bit of irony, just given that he is probably, at least among foreign YouTubers based in Japan, no question, he is the production quality, top end of
Mm.
that scale. Even those videos are definitely not aimed at me; they're aimed at people living outside of Japan.
Right.
I actually enjoy watching his videos. Lately I actually watch them more. I never used to watch them. Lately, if I see them
Mm.
come up on my feed, I put it onto my watch list, and I watch them. And yeah, he's entertaining. He's no Mr. Beast, but that's the whole point that he's making, I
Mm.
think. But I don't know. Is it possible for us to sell out? And if we could, would you?
I don't think there's anything wrong with selling out because who's going to pay the bills?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you and I were around back in the day when they called it e-begging, right? When there was
Right.
before monetization, and people would
Yep.
say, in fact, I remember Apple Milk. You remember when
Right.
Apple Milk,
Of
she was
course.
having
Right.
financial problems, and a lot of big YouTubers had this. Philip DeFranco had this, and
Mm.
they said, "Look, there's millions of you following me. I'm currently in a real bind. If you could if a small percentage of you could just give me $1, you'd really help me get out of this kind of financial emergency that I'm having." And that became like the whole internet was
And they were
like, "How
they
dare
were
you?
basically raped online
How
for that.
dare you monetize?" On free online entertainment, how dare you ask me for $1? And it was. I remember that. We're long past those days. Obviously, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, but speaking of recent e-begging, our good friend, A good friend in Florida recently went through a hurricane.
Oh yeah,
Totally
yeah. Unrested. Yeah.
unrested, yes, and he was apparently his house. I didn't see I actually talked to him online right before the hurricane. I called him right
uh,
before to see how he was okay because he lives near where my parents live,
oh yeah, yeah.
and he says, "I don't know. He had moved out to a hotel in Orlando, so he was safe. But I apparently the next day his house had been damaged and he was put up a GoFundMe or something.
Oh,
I
I
don't know
hadn't realized
I
that.
don't know the
He's
details,
been
and apparently
streaming
he
a
rents
lot
it.
lately, but I haven't been watching. He's been doing his osoroshi, his scary storytelling stuff. So I assumed everything was okay, actually. But okay,
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
embarrassed
realize
to
he had
say I
actually had
never
some
got back to it.
damage.
I've been so busy with my own
Yeah, of
problems,
course.
Um, but
Oh, there we go.
yeah,
Dan H notes his house
last
got
week
wrecked from
hurricane.
the storm. He had some damage. He was very upset.
Oh,
Wow.
there he
Okay.
goes. Yes.
Because I mean, watching the news from here, I saw the big hype that this was a Category 5
Mm,
hurricane, and it kind of did that thing that often happens that
yeah.
it was still a hurricane, but it petered out. So the area that was affected was a lot more narrow than everyone was worried about. But okay, he was in that affected area. You're sharing, adding to
Yes.
stage.
Yeah, there he is.
Oh shit!
Yeah. So I won't play this so you can't see it, but maybe he's got yeah, here we go. He's got a GoFundMe. So he's e-begging $7,000. That's great. Good for
Yeah.
him.
Oh, okay, I'm
So
gonna check it out as well. Yeah. So,
yeah,
geez, he said is
I
yeah,
I feel bad that I
real
completely
damage.
forgot. I completely forgot to get. I meant to go talk to him the next day, but like I said, I just got caught up in my own mess. So if anybody wants to donate, I can drop this link. And here he looks like he passed his goal. His goal was 5,000,
Yeah.
and good for him. Great.
Hmm.
I feel bad. I feel like a bad friend because we were actually talking quite a bit before this happened.
I'm not sure you
My
posted the. I'm not sure you copied that link correctly. It looks like it's cut off.
yeah. I copied it. Let me see. Copy, 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 and let's try again. Does that work? No, maybe it just doesn't work.
Maybe if you send it through line to me, maybe I can copy
Okay.
it. Maybe it's
Okay.
that.
Gotcha. There we go.
Okay.
Anyway, so
Let's
back
see.
in the day when Philip DeFranco, I remember he went to New York City. He got stuck somewhere. He had no money. Trying to get back home. He made a video whining, crying almost.
Yeah.
Love.
I
You
remember.
remember that video? And
Yeah.
and like all the trolls, like they who of course hate him because he's successful. They basically raked him over the coals for that, and he was
Yeah.
heavily criticized for that. Apple Milk also was here in Japan. She had some financial problems. So she started asking for money. And
Yeah.
the thing about Apple Milk though is that she could have just called me, because
Yeah.
we were kind of friends back then. She could have called. She had quite a few of us who were friends. She could have called any of us, and we could have said, "Hey, you can come stay at my house." My wife, I didn't have kids, and I just had a dog. She could have come stay with us. My
Well,
wife would have been
this
okay with that. She wouldn't be
this
okay
was
now.
the age. This was like 2009 or whatever. This was the age when 2008 maybe. This was when nobody really knew what the protocol was, right? Everyone knew that Google was making money off us, but nobody was monetized. There were no partners. And yeah, it seemed logical and fair for some people to say, hey, if you enjoy watching the videos I spend a lot of time making for free to entertain you multiple times a week, if you could spare $1, that would actually help me. And the reactions were awful. But again, we're well past that. Now we're actually the age of Mr. Beast, where 5 minutes of Mr. Beast time costs more than a Super Bowl commercial or something now.
Really?
And I feel like he has earned that. Like he that's based on the amount of views, and obviously that's advertiser proven how valuable that time is. And it's more valuable than any form of old-fashioned cable or broadcast network television. Mr. Beast videos are like more valuable. So on the one hand, congrats, good for him. But on the other hand, Chris Broad just calling him out for selling out lately. I don't watch Mr. Beast. I'm aware of Mr. Beast and I've seen Mr. Beast
Yeah, of course.
videos, but
You can't not be aware. And
there again, I mean, I don't know. I've got hearing all this drama. I think because I watch the Philip DeFranco news and he covers YouTuber news, so I've heard all the the stuff about his former workers saying what a terrible boss he is and stuff like that. But
right.
it's all just gossip to me. It's like celebrity. It's in the world of celebrity gossip to me now.
Right.
Yeah.
It can't be that bad, And I don't care.
Basically, that's what it comes down to for me. But Chris Broad, I mean, since we can't really talk about Mr. Beast, but have you heard about? I mean, Chris Broad's been doing seemingly amazingly well. You've seen him and Charlotte have opened up like a bar in Shibuya.
I heard about that. I heard it. We talked about that on the show last time.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. We did. But he seems to be living the life. He met the Queen and the Emperor recently.
Yeah,
he,
and Ken Watanabe. He interviewed Ken Watanabe. I'm more impressed with that. I'm not really impressed with meeting the Queen. What would you say to her?
Yeah. So it is distracting people commenting on the mic quality. The J-Vlog is saying maybe Hiko needs to up it on my side. You mean up Victor's mic? I can't control his volume. You mean I need to up my own mic? I've got everything turned down at the moment.
Hold on, maybe if I go...
Check the StreamYard's audio settings. Are you having like equalization? Do you have like reduced background noise?
Let me go to settings. Audio, hold on.
Go into audio settings.
There we go. Okay, there we go.
Suddenly you're loud now.
Yeah, it was turned all the way down. It was a StreamYard problem. It wasn't my computer.
Yeah, no, that's
okay.
What
Now
I was just saying to you. Now I've actually got to turn down my volume because now you're overwhelming my.
So I'm
now
sorry.
I've got no idea how our balance is, but okay, it's fixed. So are we about equalized, or should I turn my mic up now? Because I've got everything turned down at the moment. We've probably just blown the RIP ears. Yeah, Erin's just saying that her ears are just destroyed by you fixing the low audio problem.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so I need to turn down all my volume.
I can't really talk about whatever Chris Broad is bitching about, but apparently he's outraged. He's outraged. And
he's outraged.
Yeah, so I don't have much bandwidth for that.
Yeah. So now we need to lower Victor. Victor, now you're
oh, really? Not too loud?
Too pumped up now. You're fine for me. I don't know.
Hold on, let me go through there.
I'm turning my volume up. I'm gonna.
Okay, how about now? It's 50% now.
You sound fine to me.
Is that better?
You sound fine to me.
Is that better? Hello.
This sure feels like
hello.
a technical check. Let's see. I'm gonna listen over here.
Hello.
I don't worry about the same. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yami Baito, you wanted to talk about? So you've been doing lots of Baito, and I know that you're working hard to bring home the bacon for the family.
So my wife,
if you consider the Yami Baito, I hear that they're a great way to make good money fast.
Well, let's explain what that is first, because the yami is darkness, right? Yami Baito. Whoops.
Yeah. By the way, Yami Baito does not mean. It sounds like a job where you go out eating delicious food. It's not that. It's not a Yami Baito.
It's Yami, Ayami.
Yeah, Yami, which means but sort of what do you call it? Like a bad
sketchy job.
Sketchy job. By the way, I'd just like to welcome the former President Theodore Roosevelt, who decided to join us. It's nice to have you. Yeah.
Hey, Softy Papa, we would like to have you on the show when you get back to Japan.
Yes, Victor and I were just saying that in the among the insults, just that we were trading
in the pre-talk, in the pre-talk, in
the warm-up talk. We agreed that we should get you on the show.
Yeah, and Hiko-san is being humorous with his definition of Yami Baito. It's actually Yami, not. People are going to look for that, and they're going to be confused. This is what
it could be. Who knows? It could be a Yami Baito. Like, it could involve like stealing food.
Literal meaning is dark part-time job.
Yeah.
Right. Dark part-time.
Not racial.
Job, yeah. Dark people, right?
You give the background.
So basically, what people are doing. Well, I'll give you the background from what I know. I've only seen a couple cases, but what people are doing, criminals are advertising that you can make like 150,000 yen in one day
Yeah.
And then you'll come in for the interview. It'll seem all up and up. They get down all your information. They find out where you live. They find out information about your family. Then they force you to do some kind of crime. And if you say no, they threaten to hurt your family. That's what I've heard. Have you heard a different version of this?
Yeah, I'm watching NHK News. The version that I've heard of this is that there's been a lot of incidents of burglaries,
Yeah, yeah.
where what happens is the burglaries are all the tasks associated with the burglary of casing the apartments, marking when people are there and not at home, not at home and not at home, which ones have elderly people that are likely to have cash, which people live on the edge of like areas where they're not surrounded by their apartments and they're by a forest, so they pick out these houses. And then they have all these different roles. People who go get the car for driving, people who go into the apartment and, if necessary, tie up the people inside. People who go and get the valuables, and they divide up the tasks among people who don't know the other people involved. So it's a bit like a Reservoir Dogs type setup.
Yeah. Great.
So I've heard the coercion thing is something, but I've heard that sometimes they're not even coerced. They're just like agree to be the person who delivers money from somebody to somebody else, or goes and your job is $1,500 to rent a car and drive 4 other people to a specific address.
Oh, really?
And back again. And so it's all being managed from overseas by people
overseas. I didn't know that.
The people who run these, the coordinators for this, are often said to be based in Thailand and the Philippines. They're Japanese people, but the idea is that they sort of basically, through offering anonymous crime jobs broken up into little subtasks over the internet, all of these unemployed people who want to make a quick buck or do something exciting, sign up for these Yami Baito, where they don't know anything else. They don't know anything about the other components about what's going on. They just agree to do one part of the job, and they're all sort of protected by not knowing each other,
right?
And they do it this way. And so there's been a couple of burglaries around Tokyo, including one where the people who were being robbed were beaten up and killed. So now it's a murder investigation.
The old man, 75-year-old man, was killed.
Yeah, and so the police have been going online, and this is happening like on Twitter. This is happening on public SNS.
Right, exactly.
They advertise this way, and the police are putting messages underneath like, do not, these people might end up blackmailing you. You're fully criminally responsible for anything you do. You're like, this isn't a way to avoid responsibility. So the police, there's a big thing on the news the other day that the police are trying to combat it. But essentially, it's kind of like an anonymized arrangement of small, like criminal stuff, some low-level criminal stuff, but which is leading to things like murders and stuff like that.
Right. So in the famous case, so a 75-year-old man was they broke into his house and they stole 200,000 yen.
Yeah.
And like you said, he was a young man was hired, and he was told to pick up 4 other people on the way.
Yep.
Or I don't know how many others, but his accomplices he was forced to pick up. They probably don't know each other.
Right, that's the whole idea. They all meet at the place. They all meet at like a convenience store near the place or something like that. Somebody gets a rental car. They divide up the tasks, but it's all coordinated by someone. The central person who knows everyone and is coordinating is not in Japan. Is apparently the sort of key. And there was a group that was involved in arranging these, like for scams. They also do this for scams. Like sometimes they con old people out of money, and they'll have someone who'll go up to the door and pretend to be, I'm the person sent by the insurance company to get the cash to cover your son who was in the accident. They get people play roles in the scams as well, and they advertise for that sort of thing. So, they're often just bag handlers, stuff like that, but they're who are not aware of the broader crime, but are being paid compensation for basically assisting the crime. And it's becoming kind of enough of a thing that it's often in the news now that there's a lot of young people involved in crime this way.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's pretty clever. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's a terrible thing, but
in a way, what's kind of strange to me when I was thinking about this, the show was, this has to exist everywhere, right?
Right, exactly.
But yet I've never heard of it in New Zealand or Australia or America. It can't not exist, but it's a really big deal in Japan. I mean, maybe it's a sign. in Japan, a burglary that goes wrong is national news. A burglary
Right.
isn't ever news in America or New
Right.
Zealand
Never.
or Australia,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even murder.
Right.
So perhaps it's just the fact that Japan has such relatively low crime.
We have burglaries in my neighborhood all the time, but nobody ever gets hurt. They just break in. The worst story I've heard is someone took a shit in someone's house because there was no money, so they took a shit. So people know this, and you know about this, right? You know when many Japanese are taught to leave money in a very obvious place. So if they're broken into, they'll take the money and be satisfied and leave, and they won't take a shit in your house. You've heard this, right?
I've not heard this. I've not heard this.
Well, you live in Tokyo, which mostly is apartments, but I live in an area where we all own our own houses. I live in a community of houses, so maybe the homeowners, we talk to each other, we pass along that information.
So here is a bit of advice for everybody. Actually, in a big city like Nagoya or Tokyo, although you're this maybe doesn't apply in your city because you live quite centrally in Nagoya, right?
Yeah, well, I live right 20 minutes walk from downtown.
Yeah. So in Tokyo, what the big Tokyo is an enormous city, and burglars although richer people tend to live near the center of the city, they're also very densely populated. They're big apartment buildings. There's always people around. So what burglars tend to do is they target people who live in the surrounding suburbs, and they try to aim for people who are out during the day, commuting to Tokyo, hours away, and looking for empty apartments and houses. And the best thing to go for, again, young people don't keep a lot of cash at home, so they're looking for old people that don't trust banks and keep half their mattress or something like that, and who are living in houses that are like on the fringes out in the far suburbs. So there is a thing that, when I lived in Hachioji, which is about an hour west of Tokyo, it's common conversation out there about people who have, either been burglarized or have friends who have burglarized to a similar level to New Zealand. Same in Kashiwa, so the sort of satellite suburbs of Tokyo. Burglaries are a fairly common conversation, and that you hear about. But in central Tokyo, I don't hear it very much. I haven't had. I used to have when I used to live in those suburbs. Yeah, you'd have conversations about never about leaving some money out so they don't take a shit in your house. That's new to me. But things to do to make sure that you're not the person who gets burglarized. I've heard about stuff like that, but I must admit I haven't heard conversations like that in a while now.
You've never heard of like leaving money in a drawer in the Genkan?
Nope.
No, like all my students know this.
Yeah, well,
it's a common thing. So it must be a house thing or a Nagoya thing. I don't know, but
definitely partly a house thing. And maybe I make too much fun of Nagoya more than I actually mean to. I'm definitely not hating on Nagoya.
Nagoya is the Cleveland of Japan. It's a great.
It is the Cleveland of Japan,
but it's kind of a boring city.
And if you don't leave some money in a drawer, people are going to take a shit in your house. So that's just something to know. I mean, at least the river doesn't catch fire there. So there are some upsides.
Mm-hmm. So DJ Sunny, where is he? DJ Sunny side up has a good question. What if someone enters your house without your consent? Are you allowed to hurt them?
Okay, he's asking self-defense laws, but you're asking something further up, right? You're a samurai. You're wearing the samurai shirt, so of course you're covered. Good point there, Sonny. But yeah, so what can you do? Can you, well, for a start, I mean, in Japan, you can't have a gun to begin with. If you illegally had a gun, it's almost impossible. Well, you can legally own a gun in Japan, but it's so
very
hard
difficult
to get a license and so rare. My whole time, 25 years in Japan, have you ever heard of a self-defense case involving a gun and an intruder?
Never.
I don't think I have a single case.
Never.
There is a thing about using violence, getting into a fight where if you know martial arts and you get into it, you know how they say the joke like,
my hands are registered weapons.
My hands are registered lethal weapons. In Japan, that is literally legally what they are defined as, because it happens all the time. Two drunk people get into a fight on a train platform, and one guy happens to know karate and will just do a really effective throw or punch on an old guy, and the old guy will end up dead. And they'll treat that. If you are a trained martial artist, and I've had this applied to rugby players, people who do wrestling, stuff like that. If you ever get into a fight and the police will ask you, hey, you got any hobbies? And you say, oh, I love boxing. They'll treat that as assault with a deadly weapon. And they will charge you as if you shot the person because they don't have real guns, so they have to make up for it for people who do martial arts. So there's a question of if you were a trained martial artist and you were to like martial arts beat the crap out of someone who came into your apartment, I'm pretty sure the police would would
Forgive
would
you.
look the other way on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that said,
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard of a case of a self-defense type situation. I don't think Japan's a particularly stand your ground and fight kind of a country. You know what I
No.
mean? If there's a burglary, something like that, occasionally you get a crazy burglar who'll have a knife, and they might. There are definitely murder cases involving break-ins and so on, and home invasions that have happened in Japan. I don't know. I've heard of cases of people killing intruders. I mean, again, it's rare. It's rare to begin with. Have you heard of anything?
No, no, not really. Apparently, throwing the first punch is a big deal. Whoever starts
Yeah.
it, that's
That's more of a street fight situation though than breaking into a house. But
Right,
yeah.
I would think if someone came into your house, you would be allowed to get a baseball bat and hit them. But,
Someone,
Yeah,
yeah. So you've looked this up. So you're allowed to do as much as needed to keep safe. I mean,
but
yeah.
we don't know who
it's
this guy
common
is.
sense.
I mean, I don't know. Who.
It's Reddit.
Oh,
So
it is. But he does. No, he does. He does link it.
Yeah.
So.
So I am going to say there is something called, I was about to type, Seito Boe, justified self-defense. Japan has a concept of justified self-defense.
Okay, that's cool.
Seito is justified, Boe is self-defense, or Jiko Boe. And there is a concept of that. And sometimes there are murder cases in Japan where internet commenters will say, oh, that's definitely justified self-defense. But in a burglary situation, I mean, it could apply to that as well. But yeah, but the point being that it used to be sort of people, you'd also hear these rumors about trends with burglaries. And there was a lot of rumors for a long time. Yakuza would sort of say, or you'd hear that, oh, Japanese Yakuza, they have standards. They don't burglarize like civilians. They only deal with loan sharking of people who come to them and stuff like that. So if there's burglaries, that must be Chinese mafia. And they'd make a big different deal about when there was
Or
a
Koreans.
thing of it. Well, but in Tokyo and Yokohama, they made a big deal that people arrested for burglaries were Chinese quite often, and all the police would say, we can't investigate because we think the guy was probably Chinese and he's probably left the country, which is just an excuse for not doing their job. So they sort of had that, but this seems the new wave of that, where instead of it being Yakuza and then Chinese people, now it's like random internet people. So it does seem to be a trend, but the news is making a big deal out of the trend. So now that we've told you about it, kids, don't do it. Don't go looking for yummy baitos. But
Right.
the police are being very emphatic, especially now there have been a number of these cases gone wrong, that they will find you. And
Well, you know what? I bet
IT, they will find you. Yeah.
I bet you a bunch of these cases have gone right, and the police have not been that interested. But now that someone has been killed, it's suddenly getting their attention.
But because
burglaries happen all the
case go
time.
wrong. So I think they rely on doing low-level stuff, on not getting to a threshold that will call for it. But now there's been a murder. And the thing about that one murder means they're going to go and figure out who the guy instructing was and get everything. And that's what happened in this other case where they got these Japanese guys in the Philippines that were directing all these crimes.
Right.
And that's definitely what's going to happen in this case.
According to NHK, as a result of that murder, they've informed. Informed. No, what's the word? They've made a prefectural committee of police officers that are working all together in 3 or 4 different prefectures. They're trying to connect all the dots to see where this is happening, because they assume it's probably not just Tokyo. It's all probably Chiba and Yokohama and all these other places.
Yeah, there's actually a weird thing that I've never fully understood in Japan, how the national police agency is Keisho, is actually listed as the Tokyo Metropolitan Police, but it's the National Police Agency. For some reason is called the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Agency.
Oh, really?
It's the national, but they're like the FBI. It's a bit confusing, but yeah, there is a cyber crimes division. Well, and now that it's homicide as well, obviously. So it's interesting.
There was some other information about that. So the police have put out notices saying don't take these lucrative job offers if you see them. What else did I read about this? Shit, I just saw this.
While you're trying to remember, there's a comment from Black Tengu asking, by the way, hello Greece, good to have you.
Hey, Black
did they ever catch the person who murdered the whole family? I know the case that you're talking about. You're talking about the Setagaya. There was a family. There was a break-in in a kind of exactly this sort of a case, an isolated house in Setagaya in a nice suburb in Tokyo. And this happened just after I came to Japan in about 1999 or 2000, and the whole family was murdered, and they only had the T-shirt that they put on display. And did you see a guy on this night walking around? And I think it's actually now gone past the statute of limitations, and the police never
Really?
found a
There's
clue
a
as to who it
statute of
was.
limitations for murder?
Statute of limitations, yeah, yeah. I don't know if they've amended it, but there have been famous cases in Japan where people have gone and confessed like the day after the statute of
Oh,
limitations
right.
expired.
You're right.
You know,
right.
and in fact, I remember a particular case where a guy murdered
Guy
a
had
woman
cancer,
at a
right?
company that he worked at or something. And when it happened, he said, and she deserved it too. She was really pissing me off. I've been waiting 20 years to say this, you know.
Oh my God.
Doesn't strike me as a smart thing to say. But yeah, I think they've amended the laws since then, so there might not be one now. But
Do you remember
case,
I'm sorry, there was a case just last year or 2 years ago about maybe it was a Japanese terrorist who had cancer.
Yep.
And
he confessed. Or someone recognized him in hospital or something.
But he died. But he did. They caught him at the very end, or maybe it was statute of limitations. What was the deal with that?
So he was one of the Red Army.
The Red Army guys, right?
And he had been on the run. He's one of the faces on posters on every police box for the last 40 years in Japan. And you're right, it had been for an incredibly long time because this is all stuff from the terrorism from the 70s. So he'd been basically living under an assumed identity, doing like cash construction jobs. Basically living like you're running from the cops, living in that lifestyle for 40 years. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he was basically in hospital. And I think the story was that someone in hospital recognized him from his wanted poster in hospital and asked him, "Is that you?" And he said, "Yeah." And then they called the police, and the police came, and the next day he died.
Right.
So it happens. The police in Japan are famous. Do they famously suck? There's lots of, like everywhere, there's lots of stories of bad police and police doing bad jobs. It's also one thing about Japan is that the police are really conservative. And prosecutors are conservative. Part of the reason Japan has such a high conviction rate is that they won't prosecute unless they are certain. So a lot of people kind of aren't prosecuted or get away with things because the police won't even go forward if it's sort of 60%. There's a lot of unsolved crimes, and the fact that they still famously over rely on detaining you until they psychologically break you into confessing to things that you didn't do instead of gathering evidence.
But doesn't Japan have like a 90% solved?
Not solved. No, conviction rate.
No, I thought solved. I think it's solved.
It cannot possibly. You think of all the stolen bicycles and umbrellas that get reported at police boxes? How can it possibly have a 90% solved rate?
No, after they arrest somebody.
Conviction rate. So they have a 99.9% conviction rate.
Yeah, of course.
But that's the point. That they have that high success rate. It's not just that you're done if they charge you. It's that they're also really selective about when they go forward. They don't go forward a lot of the time.
Share my screen real quick.
Yeah. Like I just said. Yeah.
99.9%. That's crazy.
Who was it?
That's got to be fake.
No. That's a legit number.
No, no. But that's no way that's true.
It's true.
I believe that they're saying that, but I can't believe that's actually true.
It's true.
I'm sorry. What I mean is they cannot be right.
Of course, there are false convictions and so on.
Yeah.
But again, it's not quite as bad as it looks, again, because prosecutors won't prosecute unless it's a slam dunk. And they don't even bother. If they're only like 95% sure that you did it and you don't confess, if you can hold out, they often won't proceed.
Wow.
So, and this is why they detain you for 30 days.
But don't confess.
Let you sleep. They'll do anything to make you confess.
No water, no food.
Yeah, and and I think that you and I have covered a few of the 0.1% of cases. It's rare, but it does happen. Sometimes people do avoid the convictions, but it's very, very rare. The guy, Carlos Ghosn, the lawyer who was charged together with Carlos Ghosn for the overpayment stuff, he was found not guilty on like 9 of the 10 charges that he was on, and he's appealing the 10th one. And it's almost like the court has just allowed like the one minor charge to be a conviction just to sort of save the face of the prosecutors for wasting everyone's time. It's super rare. It's super rare that it happens. PB, brake check scams, low grade yummy vital. A yummy vital is where you, a yummy bite is where you pay someone else to do something for you as part of your crime, and they don't know that the details of what they're helping you with. So a break check scam would be a difficult yummy bite.
I gotta admit, I'm still bothered by that.
Yeah, well,
like I think the cops like completely helped him. Like why?
I saw the video had that impression as well. And just pay him off. He just wants $50,000. Can't you pay him? Yeah.
The cops are like, you should just pay him to get rid of it. I should have just held out. Oh,
yeah.
Well.
My immediate reaction, I must admit, was you should check if they're real cops. But it is also what you hear about, right? That they don't want to deal.
No, they were real cops. They came in
paperwork.
They came in a patrol car and they had uniforms. I'm pretty sure they had guns. I mean,
yeah.
If they were not real cops, they went to a lot of trouble for 10,000 yen. It definitely was. I think they would have shaken.
You pull a scam like that 10 times a day, you can add up to a lot of money. But
maybe.
Yeah.
It was 6:30 in the morning, man.
There's so much trouble.
Yeah. No, I mean, I still regret the way I handled that whole thing, but live and learn. But
no, what can you do?
I'm still most impressed with the fact that my son doesn't seem to care at all about it. He's like, nah, it's fine, no problem.
Yeah, he was cool as a cucumber through the whole thing. He was.
My wife called. She was like, "You're never taking him anywhere again. I can't trust you anymore."
Yeah.
But he was like, "No, Mom, it's fine. It's not a big deal at all." He was completely cool with it. But
I guess your son's seen you do 10 pull-ups, so he knows you're pretty much okay in any situation.
No, well, I couldn't do 10 then, but I could only do 7 then. But okay. So how are you? So this is a little side note.
Yeah.
For those of you who actually ever try to do pull-up, doing 10 is pretty tough, and it's something I've been working on.
Doing 1 is
tough. You're right. So
it's
apparently
a hard exercise. Yeah.
Only 5% of American women can do 1 pull-up,
Mm.
and only 17% of American men can do 1 pull-up. I would think New Zealand is better. I feel like you guys are more health conscious than we are. But
I don't know. New Zealand's got a ballooning obesity rate itself lately, though. So I don't know. The fit people are fit, but people who aren't fit are completely not fit. So I don't know that the rates would be much different.
Well, I've been working on trying to get to 10 for a long time, and I did it for the first time last week.
Yeah.
So I was pretty happy with that. But that doesn't mean you can fight. all it means is you can pull up your body.
Well, it's something. I mean, you're doing all these weights as well, so you're building the right muscles to go for it. Mm. Although I'm taking a different approach of being fit, but also like not having like any excess weight on me.
Right.
So
right.
yeah. So basically, Victor, as you were doing it just privately, we sent messages every day.
Mm.
And Victor mentioned he showed me that he was trying to get up to 10 pull-ups, and when he did 10, I was sort of thinking, the gym that I'm at has a pull-up bar that I use for stretching, but I don't actually do pull-ups on it. I was like, okay, how much do I think is a reasonable place to start? Because you said that you're building it up, and I was like, well, that seems like a good challenge. So I did 3, and did I video it? I think I just videoed.
Yeah, you did. You showed me.
I did. I sent it to you. Because I should put it. Yeah. So I did 1, and I only sent you the video of me doing 3.
Right.
Which I impressed myself. I don't think in my entire life I've ever done 3 pull-ups. And so I decided, I told myself, okay, every week I'm going to add 1 and see how far we get. So this week I did 4, and I put that on
That's
Instagram.
Great.
We'll see if I can do 5 next week. But even by the 4th one this week, I was kind of like, and I was thinking, I'm videoing this. It's going to suck if I don't do it. But also, there's like a beam just above the bar where you pull up. So I actually because on the final one, I wasn't sure if I could do it. So I put like extra into it, and I slammed my head against the beam. So I'm gonna build up myself. So having inspired me with your 10 pull-ups, I'm going for 5 probably this Wednesday. We'll see what happens. Share the results on Instagram.
Can we play the pull-ups? Your pull-ups?
My pull-ups? They're not on my desktop computer.
I have them. You know what? I have them on
Instagram. I've got it.
I have it right here. No, it's right here. It's right here. I got it right. I got it set up. Here it is. I'm sharing right now. Ready?
I can actually
share it. Okay, there it is.
I can share my screen.
Oh, does that? Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, you go ahead then.
Let me share my screen. Share screen.
Okay.
Window. Boom. Okay. So
this
is me doing 4, so you can comment on my form. I was paying attention to your form, and after the first one where I was just trying to get
I could
up there,
see when you were doing them, you started realizing, oh, I got to work on my form too.
yeah,
I can see
I was being
consciously
conscious.
changing. Yeah, your first one is your form.
So Victor can do this 10 times. That's 1. 2, thinking about my form.
Your form improves.
3, I'm okay. And 4, I'm thinking, oh, geez, I'm not feeling so good. And then bang, hit my head. Rub my head as I come in to check because I just heard it. And then I confirm the 4 complete.
Right.
Another exciting installment coming next week.
So it's a very difficult thing to do. Yeah.
It is. It was horrible.
But the thing is,
Victor can do 10. I'm impressed, man. So seriously, if your son sees you doing 10, I mean, seriously, yeah, he can just pretty much go and pick fights with all the big kids at school and feel totally confident.
I've had no problems with bullying at all with my kids at all. They're both halves like yours, and they don't get bullied at all. But I got a comment last month, saying your kids will never be accepted there, because they're halves. They're gonna be bullied. I'm like, yeah, whatever, whatever you think, that's fine. But what's your situation? And how gaijin-y does your kid look?
He doesn't look very gaijin-y. And he, to the extent that
is his name Japanese? Is it apparently through his name that he's a?
Well, he's got my surname, so he's got a foreign surname, so that is a thing. Although he's at a school where there's probably about 10-15% half or foreign kids.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Tokyo's a different,
So Tokyo's like bucket. That. So the short answer is no. But he nothing like I've never had anything come up race related from him. I'm sure he must get comments or whatever, but he'll be sensitive just generally the way that any teenager might be sensitive about general day-to-day stuff, but nothing that's specific to him being half anyway. So like for example, when kids couldn't go to school for 2 years, it's kind of awkward socially reintegrating with school and so on. I think kids like everywhere have had that issue, right? Going back to school, especially when you're like 13 years old and you've been locked up in a room for 2 years. That's a bad time to to be in a lockdown for 2 years. So there's been challenges, but not specifically relating to him being half.
Right. Okay. No, we have a problem kid in our school, but he targets other kids, but he doesn't target my son. But he's a bully. He's a major bully.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he actually punched another kid, my son's best friend, right in the face, and he made his nose bleed. He gave him a black eye, right? And that family is friends with my family. We're friends, right? So the wife sent my wife the kid's mom sent my wife a picture showing the black eye. And this is like the 3rd or 4th incident this bully's been involved, and this time it kind of hit close to home because he hit my son's best friend, right?
Yeah.
So I told my son, I said, if any shit like that happens to you, I'm gonna go over to his house. I'm gonna punch his father in the fucking face. I did that old Colin Farrell thing where you go over to the guy's house and beat the shit out of the father in front of the son's face. Because I was infuriated because the kid had a black eye and a bloody nose, And then and my wife's like, just let it go, don't worry about it then. And then last week the cops were called because this kid had a knife at a park. The same problem kid, right? Is carrying around a knife. And you hear about people having knives all the time. You think, it's never going to happen. But yeah, you got to be careful. So, but luckily it has nothing to do with the fact that my kid's a gaijin, and he's not being bullied himself. He's not bullied. He's fine. Like the kid likes him because my son's kind of big. So the kid, but his dad is small. His dad's like 67 kilograms or something, And I'm 91.
Picked him up to check. Yeah.
Oh, I could have. No, I've seen him in the shopping mall. They were in the shopping mall once, shadow boxing in the middle of a shopping mall. So I can see he gets it from his dad, but I just hope it never.
I mean, I've been doing Muay Thai training for like 15 years, getting ready for the chance to beat up another dad, and my son just won't give me the opportunity. I'm telling him, Dude, you're not even making it interesting for me. But yeah, no. Unfortunately, I've got no other dads to like weigh up and size up and figure out if I can beat up. Although, yeah, I did attend a few PTA meetings, and I could see. I think I could take most of the parents there. So yeah, we'll just we'll see what we can do. The challenge is, it sounds like we're in the same boat. Our kids more or less have normal challenges.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
if we were like more Inaka, we're like they're the only kid, the only half kid within like 100 miles. Even then, the issues you hear from people, I know people who've grown up like that, and they have all sorts of complexes and issues. Microaggressions, unintentional sort of stuff that makes them really self-conscious and gives them complexes and stuff like that. But in Tokyo and even Nagoya, I don't think that's quite such a thing. So yeah, but there again, I mean, I don't know. I don't know everything about my son's every day, but it's never come up. So yeah, I've been on standby.
Yeah, my kid goes to the public school, and there are four foreign kids in his class, so it's not a big thing. No, not a big deal. It's But I know other kids.
I could not only persistently chase down a criminal for 12 miles, but if necessary, I could also run away from a criminal for 12 miles. So yeah, both.
Endurance is important. It's true. There's some African tribes that they just wear down their prey.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those runners? Those African.
Is this how Kenyan runners get so far?
They
I'm
just
not sure
chase.
I've heard of this.
They'll chase. I don't know the name of the animal, like some kind of antelope. They'll just
Yeah.
chase it down, and because humans have more endurance than animals,
Yeah.
which they do. I mean, it's amazing. Like even if you have a dog, if you've ever run with a dog, there's no dog that can compete with a human.
Yeah.
Dogs are faster than humans, but they cannot. When it comes to endurance, a human can outrun a dog anytime.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, what you're saying reminds me of some internet commenters who just like try to win fights by just being willing to continue until you just give up and walk away. This is why I don't get into fights on the internet. As soon as I see someone like that, I'm just like, yes, you must be one of those African bushmen that chases down gazelles.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's end on a contentious point. What are your views on Trump? If Trump wins, what's going to happen to Japan? Will that help Japan, hurt Japan? What do you think? What do Japanese people think?
Two things. I mean, we're talking about we have an election tomorrow in Japan.
Right.
So I actually, of course, neither of us have a vote in this. We have the opportunity to try to influence voters who can vote.
My students were surprised. My students were surprised that I have no right to vote. They thought I had a right. They have no idea.
Yeah, well, you could always pay for their votes. You could offer them a yummy baito to vote for whichever candidate you want. So yeah, it'll be. I've got no idea. I haven't been following it that closely, but it is funny to me. If you want to hear more about that, we'll have the results tomorrow night on Tokyo Tonight. By all accounts, I mean, the LDP was trying to play the old trick that it does, that it switched everybody in the government and then said, okay, we're having an election now, when everyone was new, hoping that they'd get that bump in the polls. But they haven't even really done that, right? All the small promises that they made, and this is just like 2 weeks ago, they've already broken every single one. They've reappointed all the corrupt people that were giving them a bad reputation. So they look like they're genuinely about to take a beating, although there again, the opposition in Japan is so terrible and inept that even if the LDP loses a bunch of seats, which it looks like they're going to do, they're probably still going to hold on to power somehow. So the first thing is that the real question is whether they'll need to make friends with the Osaka First Isshin no Kai party, who are a bit kind of crazy right-wing populist people. Whether they'll need to bring them in or if they can just keep ruling with that Buddhist cult party that they're currently ruling with. That's Japan. For America, well, Trump is he's on he currently polls are saying that he's got the lead, he's got the momentum, right?
Yeah.
You're asking my opinion on that?
No, let's say Trump wins.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect Japan?
I don't know. Traditionally, Japan sees Republicans as being better for Japan because traditionally Democrats always sort of pander to the car manufacturers unions that hate competing with Japanese cars, and that want to put taxes on imports on Japanese products so that American workers get more jobs. And because of the history, the people traditionally smashing the Hondas with sledgehammers were Democrats and Democrat,
Oh, really?
groups like the United Auto Workers and people like them. And it was always the Republicans who would kind of end the anti-Japan rhetoric and craziness. So traditionally, Japanese always think it's better for there to be a Republican. The thing about Trump that's really interesting to me is that he's been sort of successful in left-winging the left wing in America. He's gone and claimed that all the blue-collar workers who feel like the Democrats promised that they weren't going to take America into NAFTA and take all their jobs, then they went and did it all anyway. They went into NAFTA, so they feel like they were lied to by the Democrats. And when Trump says, oh, I'm going to protect American workers, I'm going to put tariffs on everything, people believe him because he's crazy, and he does actually follow through on the crazy shit that he says, which even if you disagree with it, you have to. I can understand people feeling like they're less likely to be lied to by him. For people who feel like politicians have been lying to them for years and years, so I understand in a way why disenchanted working class people support Trump. I understand that, and generally that means that will be even worse news for Japan. Because he's literally talking about funding all of his he's literally talking about funding the border wall and all of his initiatives and the purge of illegal immigrants by putting tariffs on everything from every country. And he's already said no exceptions. He'll treat Japan the same as China, the same as Europe.
Wow.
So in terms of how is it for Japan? I mean, he's he's campaigning on it being bad for Japan, and not only that, but also the belief that America, Japan should be paying for all of America's bases in Japan, which which America forces Japan to sort of have in the first place. But this idea that he's going to use them to make money, that he's going to put tariffs on Japanese products. So he's running on a platform that I'm going to make America worse for Japan, and everybody else, and put America first. And when people are feeling hard done by or whatever, I kind of understand how that's an appealing message to middle America, to working class middle America that feels down, like they're struggling. So I think he's bad. There again, the point with Kamala, the people feeling like, well, that's the old school traditional, Republicans and Democrats both being the same, promising stuff and lying to you. I'm sure that's what people feel about with her as well. So I can sort of understand the American voter perspective, but from a Japan perspective, there's no question. Japan wants boring, normal business as usual, which Trump is not.
I agree. I think if Kamala is elected, she will finally be able to distance herself from the Biden administration and start doing new things, hopefully.
Yeah.
But right now, she's got to be polite, She can't just say, fuck Biden and everything he's been doing, She's got to be polite.
At least with Kamala, I see Kamala doing what Hillary did, which may be bad for her being seen this way, but what Clinton did and what even George Bush did, which is that when they're going for election, they would say stuff to appeal to their base, but then when they got the job, they would just do what they thought was right, even breaking promises that they made. Kamala's not even making promises to put tariffs on Japan and make them pay for defense, or she's not even making those promises, right? If she was, I'd be fairly sure that she would break them if there was good advice, right? That she would take good advice. But given that she's not even making those sorts of promises, I think she's going to probably take the advice that she's given on what's the right thing to do and follow it, which, again, from a Japan and international perspective, that's what we all want. We just want America to be sane and stable and not...
And predictable, yeah.
Which is what I think she would bring. Is maybe not what... But the question is, do Americans want that? And I don't know. It's kind of scary to me that, the Democrats and Republicans have both failed so badly that Trump is a viable candidate. But I think it's their responsibility that they've allowed it to happen. So, and it's because of their failures that he's popular, right? So I don't know. I can sympathize, but oh my God, it is. I think it really is kind of quasi the end of the world if it happens. And I do, and definitely as well, I do hold it against Americans if it happens. All these Americans who say, well, I didn't vote for him, it's not my fault. It's like, well, you have more of a vote than I do. And as an American, you don't get to disclaim your country because you didn't support the person in charge. You're collectively responsible for who your leaders are. And or they'll say, the electoral system. The electoral college is not really fair, so Americans aren't responsible for who's in charge. I'm like, well, if Americans aren't responsible for who's in charge of America, who is? I mean, you decide everything, right? You decide the Constitution, the electoral system. You can change the system. It's not, I can't change your system. So yeah, and it does make us all think that Americans are stupid if they vote that way. But there again, I also understand there's a lot of Americans who think kind of screw you to the rest of the world.
No.
I don't care if they think. I don't care if a European thinks that I'm stupid. Screw Mr. Frenchman. I kind of get that as well. But please just don't be idiots. That'd be my message to the American people. How about
Well,
you?
we should definitely have
of
course, Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because I'm in Florida, so.
Yeah.
Florida's being.
I mean, Florida won't even exist like 10 years from now. That's going to change the electoral college.
Because of climate change, probably.
Hey, you're from Florida. You're not allowed to use the word climate change. You're allowed to have hurricanes, but remember they passed a law that in government documents you're not allowed to use the word climate change in Florida.
Are you serious? I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh my God. That really. They really did. That's so stupid.
They're literally doing this in Florida as they're being destroyed by hurricanes.
That's so embarrassing.
Oh.
A lot of people think
Florida.
that I see in the comment section that what's her name? Kamala Harris she has noodles for brains. Someone wrote in the comment section here.
Someone said noodles for brains. Where's that?
Where is it? Oh yeah, Black Tengu says Kamala has got noodles for brains. Maybe, but she's not Trump.
Still,
I mean, Trump can. Come on.
The thing is,
Trump's
actually smart. That's what scares me. He knows what he's saying. He's ridiculous, but he actually follows through on what he says. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worse to be stupid or evil. I think it's worse to be evil. But anyway, well, we should definitely.
I've had this debate before in a work context, and in a work context, I'm at 100%. I would rather work with evil than stupid. Because evil can still learn what's in its own best interest and what's the smart and right thing to do, and they can correct their behavior. If they're doing something bad and they're doing it on purpose, it means they're capable, they know what the right thing is to do, and can be persuaded to change. A stupid person doesn't know that they've done anything wrong and will be upset when you point it out to them and is incapable of changing their behavior. So stupid people are actually worse. I'd rather deal with evil.
Yeah, but you can easily argue that Trump is both.
Stupid genius, bigly, yeah.
But Hiko, let's schedule the next 2.5 Oyajis.
Let's do that. So
right after the election.
Yeah, November. So that would be November 5th is the election, right?
Right.
So November 8th, November 9th.
9th.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do
November 9th. Okay.
Will we be bracing for the next revolution or?
Oh my God.
Who knows?
We'll see.
I mean, it is. Yeah, it shouldn't be this morbidly entertaining American politics, but it feels like it's getting crazier and crazier and crazier every election. So done. November 9th, election special.
Great. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The next 2.5 Oyajis will be the 9th of November, Saturday night. So join us Saturday night, right? Yeah.
Election night. Well, so election night, Japan election night with me tomorrow, and big old America and what it means for Japan election special November 9th. It's a decided thing. Yeah, cool. It's late for you. I know you've had a long day. I've also had a long day. So I think we're good there. But thanks, man. We've got 35 people watching. How many likes do we have? I'm gonna refresh. Let's see. Do remember to like if you haven't. 16 likes. Do remember to like the video. Remember, I don't monetize these. I am not Logan Paul or Mr. Beast. I do this purely for the love expressed through likes.
Yes.
So please
make no money from this.
Yeah. Void theft. I think there's a few more than that. Thanks always. It's always good to talk. It's always fun to do these things. Even though, we're both sort of tired. But it's kind of fun going through everything.
Good luck on the pull-ups, man. Keep it up.
Pull-ups, going for 5 this week. I don't know if I can do it or not, but much respect for the 10.
The most important thing is form, though. I'm working on form now. I'm trying to do 10 beautiful ones. So work on the form.
I'll build it up with, well, who knows? I mean, honestly, if I feel like I'm about to die or I'm about to fail, I can't be held responsible for what happens to my form at that point.
I would say next week do 4 again, but just do them slower and do them prettier.
Oh.
Yeah. And maybe even do 2 sets.
Baby steps. Baby steps. I'm gonna go for 5. I'm gonna go for 5, but if I fail, then I'll figure out a different plan. But yeah. Very good.
Thanks for watching,
Thanks
guys.
everyone for joining. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for all the technical assistance. We got the sound there in the end. Technical
Yeah.
features are a feature of the show. They're not a bug. And we'll see you all very soon. Just a couple of few weeks, 2 weeks to go. Scary.
Good night, guys.
Cool. Peace. You hang around. I'll end the stream.
Yeah, gotcha.